I want to thank everybody for coming today to the groundbreaking, the delayed groundbreaking of the Staff Sergeant James J. Hill School. This is a great day for the city of Revere, warm, cold, or otherwise. I'm really happy that so many people could make it out today, and so many of our public officials and all of our friends are here. I want to thank a number of people, and I want to recognize a number of people as well. First of all, and most importantly, I think I need to thank the Hill family, many of whom are here today, many of whom are my contemporaries that I grew up with, that I went to school with, and for their understanding and for their appreciation of the fact that there could be no better honor for anybody in our community or otherwise to have their name on an educational facility such as we are about to build here. It's a tremendous honor. We understand that the park was named after Sergeant Hill for a long time, but this, in my view, is a step up in honoring him in his memory. I also want to thank, I'd like to thank the school building committee, and I'm going to name the school building committee because it's not quite as cold as I thought it was going to be. I wasn't going to do it, but the school building committee did an awful lot of work here, and I was a member of it, proud to be a member of it, and I'm proud to say that there's virtually nothing in this school that one member or other member of the school building committee didn't have some sort of positive effect on. And of course, Dr. Paul Dakin was the chairperson, Mayor Rizzo, George Anzoni, Director of Finance, Eddie Mosher, Principal of the McKinley School, soon to be Hill School, myself, Brene Bertocci, who was the parent representative, Carl Svensson, Director of Facilities, and Tony Zambudo, City Council. Also, past City Council John Correggio was a member of the committee as well. And from the school committee, Carol Ty, Mike Ferranti, and Stacy Rizzo. And our experts from Collaborative Partners, which is now Hill International, as I understand it, Dave Billings, Sue Bailey, and Scott Wooden. Jim Garino was also part of that team as well, and I understand one of the principals is Carl Francesi is here today. Thank you all for coming. Thank you so much, and thank you for your efforts here. And I also want to thank all the city employees who had a part in this. All the people in the school department, the people in our public facilities, all lended some hand to this project. And this is truly a collaborative project here in the city of Revere. Like everything we do, we get the community involved. We get everybody, as many people as we can involved, and we did so in this project. And that's why it's come out the way it has, and that's why when you see it built, you'll be as proud of it as I will be and am now. I want to introduce some of our city officials from the City Council, Councilor Zambudo, Council President Tony Zambudo, Jessica Janina, Councilor at Large John Powers, Ward 5, Councilor Bob Hass, Councilor at Large Ira Novoselsky, Ward 2 Councilor, and Arthur Gonassa, Ward 3 Councilor, and Steve Morabito, Councilor at Large. And from the school committee, today we have Dan McGuire, Donna Wood-Pruitt, Carol Ty, and Stacy Rizzo here today as well. Senator Anthony Petroselli is here. Thank you, Anthony, so much for coming. We appreciate your presence here. From Speaker DeLeo's office, we have Barbara Bishop and Joe Musillo. We also have our candidate for state representative to take the place of our beloved Kathy Ann Reinstein. That's Rosalie Vincent. Chief Caffarelli is here, as well as Chief Doherty, and our great, as you can see, Revere Police Department honor guard came out in the cold today as well. Now, did I miss anybody? No, I mentioned John Correggio. He didn't even hear his own name.
I heard it.
Just
to hear it again.
That's all right.
Why not?
Just a few words about this situation, what we see here today. This is a belated groundbreaking, as you can probably tell, since the ground is pretty well broken. But what you see here today is a seed planted in this ground. This is a vision of the plans, the drawings that are displayed here that you've seen of this building is a vision. And it's a mark of a community that holds dear the value of education, and a city that puts its children and through them its future first. I am extremely proud and honored to be part of this community, and I look forward to the day, some 18 months or so, Dr. Dakin, when from now that we dedicate what will be one of the finest, if not the finest, educational facility in the entire Commonwealth. So with no further ado, I'm going to ask some of our officials to come forward and lend the remarks. First of all, our Mayor, Dan Rizzo.
Thank you very much, Councilor Reardon. I appreciate you presiding over these festivities today. And it's really been a long time coming. So very, very happy to be here. Councilor Reardon, Director McCarthy, Dr. Dakin, colleagues in government, including members of the City Council and School Committee, representatives from CTA, Construction, DRA Associates, and Hill International, parents, teachers, children, administrators. Thank you so much for attending this monumental groundbreaking ceremony. This is the final piece of the puzzle that started off over 10 years ago as part of a 5 new school building program that began with the West Revere School Complex. The entire McKinley school community, from the principal right down to the administrators and teachers, to the parents and certainly the children, have shown great strength and patience as you've sat by quietly watching school after school be built and ultimately occupied by children across the city. You've endured hot summers, cold winters, and an overall lack of amenities that have been afforded to other elementary school buildings. I'm so happy to say to you now, today is your day. It is a day where we honor our promise and commitment that we all made back in 2001, and a promise and commitment that I'm proud to say we have kept. They say school buildings don't provide an education, teachers do. And I would mostly agree with that, but in my mind, there is no denying that education can best be taught and children can best learn in a facility that is conducive to a 21st century education, not the least of which should include working heat and air conditioning, a first-class library and computer lab, a gymnasium for year-round exercise and play, and a comfortable and spacious cafeteria for midday lunch breaks. Today we continue down a path that has helped make Revere Public Schools one of the very best in the entire urban school district, and one that as a community we can all be extremely proud of. Getting here was not easy, and in fact at times painful. Some wanted to see the school stay on Yeaman Street. Others wanted to see it at the football stadium. Others, particularly those of us closest to the project, knew that our options were really limited. As much as we wished we would not have to take or relocate parks or other properties, land is at a premium here in the city of Revere. I want to thank all of those involved in these proceedings that helped pave the way for this new school building. And in particular, I want to thank the Hill family for their understanding and cooperation in helping us serve the now over more than 600 students that will soon attend this new school. The new sergeant, yes, applause, that would be great. The new Sergeant James J. Hill School will be here for decades to come, and we appreciate the Hill family's sacrifice for our city and our country. And I hope they know that through the James J. Hill School, he will always be remembered through the thousands of students who make their way through this new building year in and year out. I want to thank the School Building Committee and all involved in bringing us to this point today. Whether you voted on appropriations, helped in the design, testified in favor of, or oversaw the lengthy process of securing funding, the actions you took will benefit countless area children and their families for decades. Director McCarthy, thank you for your commitment to Revere and our student population that now reaches close to 7,100 students. Obviously, without your support, this simply would not have been possible. In closing, I want to thank all of you here in attendance. I hope and trust this will be done on time and under budget. And and I look forward when we all reconvene here in September of 2016 for the ribbon cutting. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. Our next speaker is Jack McCarthy from the School Building Authority. I want to thank Jack and his colleagues at the School Building Authority for, first of all, understanding, I got to take this off, this is really, understanding our needs in the city, in this community, understanding what we're all about, working with us to enhance and put forth this school building program, and most importantly, I want to thank you for the green. Jack McCarthy.
This is the best part of my job. I get to come to events like this where everybody is so happy and you know, I used to work for the Inspector General's office and nobody was ever glad to see me. But on behalf of Treasurer Grossman, who's the chairman of the board of the MSBA, and my colleagues at the MSBA, thank you for inviting me here. The mission of the Mass School Building Authority is to partner with Massachusetts communities to promote the design and construction of educationally appropriate, flexible, sustainable, and cost-effective public school facilities. And this project certainly exceeds that ideal. We are your partner in this. And we're your partner to the tune of 80% of eligible costs, which is just under $30 million of the $45 million project. I'd like to thank the local leadership here, Dr. Dakin, Mayor Rizzo, Principal Mosher, for assembling a great cast of consultants. You know, when Dan said he wanted to see it on time, under budget, I looked right at Lyle from CTA, and he was nodding his head in approval. I think that's a good commitment. But CTA is great. You got Lyle and Jeff from CTA, Drummy, Roseanne, and Anderson. I see Carl and Scott here. And from Hill International, it's great that they named their company after your brother too, Mr. Hill. Not only the school. We have Dave here from Hill. A great group. I think you've made sound choices with all of those folks, and they'll serve you well. Up at the State House, you have great legislative delegation. Senator Petroselli over here, and Speaker DeLeo and Kathy Reinstein, who's stepped down, and I'm sure whoever fills her shoes will jump right in. But these folks have been great advocates for the MSBA, but also great advocates for Revere, and you should know that they're bothering me all the time to make sure I'm treating you guys right. So. A couple of people from the MSBA who has worked with you. Katie Loeffler was your field coordinator, and your project manager is Bill Cross, and he'll be here throughout construction. And we actually stay another 10 months afterwards to do commissioning to make sure all of the systems work. But today's a great beginning. As Nelson Mandela once said, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. I'm going to change the world starting right here with the next shovel for Revere. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Jack, for those very kind words. Lastly, this is a relatively short speaking program because it's cold. But lastly, we have the leader of our wonderful school department, our wonderful school district. Dr. Dakin has been a friend of mine since we were in the second grade. My best friend, in fact, since we were in the second grade, and I can't say how proud I am of how much he has accomplished in the last 10 years, building this school district up to where it is probably, if it's certainly the newest school district in the state. No one can doubt that. But I also would say it's the best, by far, the school district in the entire state. I give you Dr. Paul Dakin.
Well, folks, a lot of thanks go around, especially when I would say it was year 1999 or 2000 when I was working with Carol Ty, and we had the vision that we needed a capital improvement plan. And that plan resulted in a study that we commenced that leaned out over a number of years a 5-school building program, for which about 1,100 seats would be new seats and the others replacements to old buildings. And it really takes a community to be able to pull that through. When Bob Hassett, mayor at the time, passed the baton to Tom Ambrosino, who passed the baton to Mayor Rizzo, not one of them faltered in the desire to fulfill that plan, which was labored on, talked about, and supported by a number of people along the line. Likewise, there were generations of school committee folks and generations of city council folks that didn't forget the dream either. So as we stand here today, it truly is a community that made this happen and a vision that made it happen. As we get to the work and do the business of building, there are people who became very important in the process. Our architects, DRA, have been with us for all of our projects, and if you've been through the schools, each one of them has gotten markedly better in its design, construction, and the way things have been going. And Hill International now, formerly RF Walsh, formerly Collaborative Partners, with Simon Tempest. Simon has been here for all of our projects, and when we were looking for bringing back the now Hill International, one of our requirements was to have Simon on the project because he knows what we want in Revere, and he's marshaled that in each project along the way. So as we approach those key players, CTA, all of the projects have come in on time, and all of them have come in with budget. So you've got something big to follow up on, and I'm sure you can deliver from all we've found for you. And then Jack McCarthy and MSBA going through this process now and building what would be our 5th school if we count the West Revere as 2 schools. You learn a lot. You learn a lot about what has to get done, but never, and this is the first building project we've had under the new rules. When Paul Revere came on board, the new rules were coming into place, but they let us build under the old rules. And this process, seeing it as a superintendent now for a number of times, this process is more laborious to the building committee and I'm sure to architects and consultants, but it's a better process in that the state, it supports the initiatives and safeguards all of the things that potentially could go wrong. And Jack, thank you, and I see Grant Epler, who has Revere roots out here, who's an MSBA person as well, and that is that's comforting as along the way. And finally, whenever you're kicking off these projects, the most difficult part of the project is the conceptual idea. The idea of where it will be and how you mitigate circumstances that are inevitable. There will be dust, there's going to be dirt, there's going to be traffic problems during construction. It'll all lead to a better place, but the most agonizing part for myself, who as chair of the building committee and the committee members, is how do we sell this project to the community in a minimalist way? And how do we do it openly and honestly so everybody gets heard? And I can honestly say this project was most rewarding in one aspect. And that was the piece that brought the name to this school in the form of Sergeant Hill. And to know that we could forever christen a building, a beautiful facility with their name on it, was one of the most gratifying pieces about how this work comes together in the beginning. So to the Hill family, again, you deserve thanks from all speakers. And as somebody who was worried about this process, along with the building committee, to be able to get to this point in time with all of us on the same page, running around the bases now so that we can bring this home in 18 months is a very gratifying thing. So thank you again. Finally, school buildings, many people say, don't influence learning. And I'll challenge that point, because when you have 21st century facilities, just from my experiences over the past 10 years watching the schools in Revere, the environment plays a key component in children's learning and responsibility. And if you go back to all of our buildings now and walk through any of them, they look like they did on the first day that we opened them. So children, teachers, administrators, and parents and community step up to the plate when new facilities come on board. And part of the reasons for our academic success leading the urban schools in the state is because of the facility approach we have put to things. Caring for children, there's lots of ways to do it. Of course, we mostly spend time with academics, but providing a secure, safe, and optimum learning environment is essential to the learning process. And part of that you see in the outcome measures that are determined by state tests and the like, and where Revere stands that way. So don't dismiss the fact that facilities do play a critical role in the development of children and the overall impressions of what a community is all about. People still ride by the most visual project we have at Romney Marsh Academy, and even as recently as today, somebody made a comment to me saying, hey, do you know what's this academy in Revere? And they wonder about that building and they think that it's a charter school. And we know, some of us deep down, we actually named it that way so people would think it's a charter school, so we wouldn't win a charter school. So all of these things, but our buildings are certainly out there, and our buildings are certainly visual to the community. And when you build a community up for children and schools, it makes a community more vibrant. And I think our future is even healthier as we go along. And finally, two people that I have to thank for the time and energy they put into the school department and into the building project are our two public service chiefs. Chief Doherty and Chief Caffarelli have given their time constantly to the needs of the school building project, but when we talk about achievement in schools, they do not stop thinking about how to make our schools stronger from their perspective. So with the community at heart, with facilities, and with police and fire engaging us on a regular basis, the community has come together about teaching and learning in more ways than you can imagine, which is a result and a reason why we have tremendous success. We have the McKinley School in 18 months. We'll be moving into the New Hill School, and just to let you know, they are a level 1 school in the state. That's the highest rating you get for academic achievement. They've done it with expanded learning time. Mr. Mosher and his staff have been outstanding that way, and so this building will be occupied by a group of children that have got the highest academic rating by the state that's given. So congratulations to the children and the teachers for doing all that work. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Dr. Dakin. Before we get to the ceremonial portion of the groundbreaking, I do want to thank one more group of citizens. As Dr. Dakin alluded to, this project is a collaborative between many people, many people who put their efforts forward. But not only do the people who actually put their foot forward contribute, but those who suffer in silence do too. And that would be our neighbors here in the Ward 4 area. I want to thank each and every one of them for their forbearance during this, what I expect to be challenging 18 months before we are completed between this project, and let's not forget that we have another project going on next door, which we'll probably have a groundbreaking for fairly soon as well. But the neighbors have been great. We met with them last week. The mayor and I promised them, and we continue to promise them, that we will do everything we can to address their needs during the course of this difficult, but challenging, but also rewarding time. Because when this school is built, when this stadium is built, they will look out from their doors and see something entirely different that they've never seen before in their neighborhood. So thank you all, and I guess now we have the ceremonial groundbreaking. Who's in charge of that? Not me.